where was the point where you started to like playing with pastry? Like, because it's a big shift, right, from Kernable to heading into Sydney to start in a bakery and in a way to patisserie. Yeah,
It's a big shift. Yeah. Look,
why?
I definitely started there, and it goes back to the job thing, right? Because I had to work every day after school.
Yep.
It was just
There was just no choice.
no choice. And even on Saturdays when I had to play footy, I used to have to most of the time have to like run. Like
Afterwards.
like the bus would be, all the boys would be catching the bus, and the bus where the bus left, it was across the road from my parents' supermarket, in front of the post office. So the footy bus would pull up there. If we're going to play in England or wherever, you got to catch the bus early in the morning.
Yeah.
So if my parents said I couldn't go, I'd just wait till they were at the back and I'd run.
Would you?
Yeah.
Get on the bus.
Yeah. And eventually they just...
How did that
kinda
go
let me
down?
But at the start, that's how it was, because my parents didn't want me to play footy.
All right. Good evening.
Hey Pete, welcome.
Hello.
Sorry to... no one will understand this because you weren't here 10 minutes ago, but some of us probably need to read their emails a little bit better. I'm not mentioning any names, Peter, but...
Change of venue.
change of venue. Anyway, running a touch behind. That's okay. Our wonderful guest has got a beer and had some pizza here at Boca. So welcome.
Can you imagine cooking this guy pizza dough? I should glad I didn't tell Harry that.
Oh, I'm just hoping we can order some dessert and see what happens. So
Got to do that.
Adriano Zumbo, welcome.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Really
Pleasure.
appreciate it. So I apologise for my tardiness yet again. I'm sure Tony will never let me live it down.
No, Peter.
The first one I was late as well.
You were.
There we go.
Significantly.
Yeah, that was a problem. That's all right. It's okay. I've learned to read since then, but not emails, it turns out. So, Adriano, it's great to have you on, mate. We're really fortunate to have you on the Sunshine Coast now as a permanent fixture. How long have you been here?
I've been on the sunny coast since full-time 2019.
Yeah, right. Okay.
January 2019, full-time. But I kind of moved here 2017, 2018.
Okay.
But I was still commuting back to Sydney.
Yeah, okay.
And wasn't really here that much.
Was it the Noosa Food and Wine thing that dragged you up here and then you fell in love with the joint?
Originally, yeah.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
Back in the, Zumbarons days and the, when it was pretty wild.
Yeah,
and
it was.
It was wild, everyone
What?
came up and it was just...
wild. I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
I think
We
that's
should
the
have
point.
We should have got Colin to give a few
No, I think
stories from those days.
He was him and Matt Wilkinson were the pack leaders all the way. Yeah.
I think there's
That was the rock and roll era that you were talking about.
yeah, I also think there's probably some non-disclosure agreements that have been signed around a lot of those times. It was that was epic. Those
fun.
Those are food and wines where it was. I think the thing why and chefs got excited was probably the way that I would like to say it in a polite way. But
Totally.
it was also no one ever saw each other that often, So it was a really cool opportunity for everyone to get together. And the reason why I think things like Taste Port Douglas is on this weekend, similar sort of thing where everyone's like, you ask a chef to go to that, they're generally going to say yes because they get to hang out with their mates and people they haven't seen for a long time, their peers from all over Australia. It's a pretty cool opportunity.
Oh, it's amazing.
And the people that go there are mad foodies, aren't they? Like they are into it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely back in those days, that was crazy. And love to get on the wines.
Yeah.
You get the cup. You used to get the cup in Lions Park.
Yeah.
Walk around. By 3 or 4 o'clock, mate,
It was
blotto, and most years it rained.
Yeah.
So it was like
turned into that mud bath.
It was like
at
a
the
mud
end.
bath. It was.
Yeah, they were the good old days, that's for sure.
I think it was almost like Woodstock at the end of it. It was just was debaucherous at the end. I mean that's
that last night.
Oh, that Sunday afternoon was just ludicrous. Yeah. Anyway, we probably should move on from that. And so living, you like, I suppose the thing for you is that you grew up in the country, right? Like proper country.
Yep.
And I don't think anyone probably would know where Kernable was if you had to point. I mean, you live there, but if you said to most Australians, "Where's Kernable?" would they know where to even state? Do you reckon?
Oh, look, it's a mixed bag. Some people go, "Oh yeah, I live there. Or I've been there. Or my cousin lives there." It's real weird, but like a lot of people don't. Yeah, majority, the mass don't. You kind of say near Dubbo or Lightning Ridge.
Yeah,
they either know the open mining town, or they know Dubbo.
So per head of population, how many macarons would you sell out there?
Would I sell?
Not fucking many, that's what I reckon.
Back then, definitely not. Right?
No way.
But I mean, I was going to ask the sheep to human ratio in that part of the world's pretty high, isn't it? It's serious.
Sheep
country,
cattle, wheat.
Yeah, bit of everything.
Bit of everything up there. It's definitely a big farming region.
And your parents owned the IGA there, is that right? So what was that like for you as a kid? I remember my first job as a 12-year-old. I worked in a fish and chip shop, and I just thought it was so cool that I got to I was in charge.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was nowhere near in charge. I was the lowest rung on the ladder, but I was giving people their prawns on a Friday night or a Saturday night or whatever, and I thought I was a bit of a boss.
Yeah.
Did you get to do cool things in there, or were you allowed in there? Or
Oh, look, I did pretty much every job we can inside there. I went through the ranks over time. You know, I didn't like the checkout, so I didn't work there. I didn't like the deli. I only worked there when there was no one else to go in there. Yeah. I didn't like the juice of the cold meat, you know, corned beef, and that had that pouch of juice in the bottom, the jelly juice.
Yeah, like briny, weird.
Put on the slicer, and he used to run. Oh, it was disgusting. So I kind of, if I didn't have to go in there, I didn't want to go in there. So I kind of stacked, my main jobs were really stack shelves and empty the pallets. So when the groceries came in on the pallets off the truck, I'd take all the boxes, put them in front where they go. And it was good for me because it was kind of like exercise. I played a lot of sports. Yep. It was good training.
What was your sports? What was your number one? Did you have a number one sport, or did you play?
I played league, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
What position?
Centre.
Oh, okay.
I started at fullback and then I moved to centre.
Oh, so fast, but not that fast.
I was fast.
No, you were?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, who's your team?
Now? Oh, it's a hard one now. It's a bit of a mixed bag,
Queenslander,
eh?
right?
Yeah. Me?
Origin time? Are you Queenslander?
I'm a Queenslander, yeah, but I still got some New South Wales in me.
There's certain times you just don't say that. And so I suppose the inevitable question comes, you know, and I think a lot of people might have referenced this in the past. Is that where you started? Well, where was the point where you started to like playing with pastry? Like, because it's a big shift, right, from Kernable to heading into Sydney to start in a bakery and in a way to patisserie. Yeah,
it's a big shift. Yeah. Look, I definitely started there, and it goes back to the job thing, right? Because I had to work every day after school. It was just meant
there was just no choice.
No choice. And even on Saturdays when I had to play footy, I used to have to most of the time like run. Like
afterwards,
like the bus would be, all the boys would be catching the bus, and the bus where the bus left, it was across the road from my parents' supermarket, in front of the post office. So the footy bus would pull up there. If we're going to play in Ingan or wherever, you got to catch the bus early in the morning. Yeah. So if my parents said I couldn't go, I'd just wait till they were at the back, and I'd run.
Would you?
Yeah.
Get on the bus.
Yeah. And eventually they just
how did that go down?
But at the start, that's how it was, because my parents didn't want me to play footy.
Yeah, right.
They didn't.
Well, they didn't. It's they wanted me to work. Oh, no, you have to work today. We need you.
Right.
The Saturday mornings it was pallets day when the pallets came in.
Yeah,
so
right.
It was always a battle there, but eventually it got a little bit easier. But the reason I got into pastry was because my sister had a supermarket on the other side of town.
A competing supermarket?
Yeah.
How big is this town?
3,000 people. And then my uncle has another supermarket.
Hang on. Just go back a step. So your parents had the IGA?
Yeah, parents had one in the main street.
Yep.
The busy.
Let's say the busy one.
I'll go right back. Parents started in the corner store.
Yep.
Then they opened a supermarket back then before IGAs. It was called Food Town, Food Master, in the main street.
Yep.
And then they bought another one called Payless.
Yep.
That was down the road.
Yep.
So bought out the competition, but the competition had a liquor store inside it. So they took the liquor store, bought it back to their shop. Yeah. And then eventually they talked my sister into moving back from Sydney.
Yep.
And they built her a brand new supermarket on the other side of town, over the bridge. So there's the bridge in the middle of Coonamble that goes to Castlereagh River.
Right.
And then there's two sides of Coonamble, right?
Is there the good side and the bad side, or
no,
you don't have to answer that just in case? But.
No, not really. It's no good and bad side. It's just two sides of Coonamble. And then they built one over the other side of town, and my uncle had a supermarket over there as well on the other side. So my parents and at the time had a bit of a clash.
Right. So with your uncle?
Yeah. There was a bit of a rivalry in the family there, and then they built one literally a block away from where his was, bigger, like twice the size. And
so they won basically.
So your uncle was at your wedding. Was that the?
No, he was there.
No, but the niece who was sitting at my table. She was loose.
Possibly.
She was so much fun.
Possibly like a niece or like a cousin.
Might have been a cousin
to them, yeah.
Big frizzy hair, loved a gin and tonic. She had about 1,000 espresso martinis.
Michelle.
Her and Melissa tore it up. Like we were there and it was like we're at the wedding and everyone's all fancy and well-to-do, and it was like these two locked horns, and you could just realise they were trouble, and turns out they were sitting opposite each other, and by 11 o'clock he's breakdancing on the dance floor, and her and Melissa and I love her out on the balcony sideways.
Having a great time.
Having a great time. It was a killer wedding.
Oh, yeah, it's good fun.
Should get him to do some breakdance. He's quite handy, actually.
I don't know if we've got enough film for that. Maybe later. We'll see what happens. So your sister, how much older than your sister? How much older is your sister?
Than me?
Yeah.
10 years. The one that had the supermarket.
So she came back.
I've got another sister that's 12 years, but that one's 10 years older than me.
Right.
Came back and they built a super IGA.
Right.
Yeah, so big ass store.
Like proper supermarket.
Proper supermarket, like the big Coles and Woolies.
Yeah, right.
In-store bakery, butchery, all that kind of jazz.
Right.
Like, so like legit, like all the chicken rotis, like all those, all down one side of the shop, and then, all the freezers. So then I started working in the in-store bakery in there. So it wasn't anything fancy, just pretty much par-baked bread, icing cakes, whipping cream, basic stuff, but I really enjoyed it.
And so just for those that don't know, so par-baked bread is literally bread that gets cooked to a certain point, right? Generally, it's actually, at the moment, the stuff you can get is almost fully cooked, right? You're just warming it through when you put it through. But back then, like there's those ready-baked products and all that kind of stuff where
then it was like really, really raw.
Yeah.
And you can get just the dough.
Yep.
So the finger buns would come as frozen dough rolls, and you prove and bake it still. So
okay.
like all those kind of things were it was a mix.
Yeah.
So the bread was like you're saying, but the sweet stuff was a bit more hands-on.
A bit more detail.
Yeah, a bit more detail.
And probably a little bit more of that, like where it's, well, I suppose not meant to, it's probably the wrong way to say that, but a bit more classic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all the classic stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get into it.
And so then you left. Why?
Can
that sounds pretty good. I mean,
it's pretty hectic.
I was at a hectic part of my life. I was young, I was juvenile.
what you like?
Playing sports. I was always sneaking out on the weekends, because my parents had stuff to be home by 10:30. And so then I worked out, I'm just going to go to bed at 8:30 and then
set my alarm at 11.
Lock my door.
Yep.
And go out at like 9:30, 10.
Right.
And then stay out all night. Then I come back in the morning and there was a door that was kind of half broke, like not broken, but you could slide it and sneak in and pull it back across.
Okay. And they never worked that out.
They did in the end, but like not for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually got myself. I went and got a sausage roll at 3:30 at the local baker, and my parents own a supermarket, and they get the bread off him. So it ended up. He said, "I saw your son. I saw your son in the morning.
What was Adriano doing here at 3:30 in the morning?
Sausage roll." And I was like, "Oh, that's what." Yeah.
So you self-sabotage yourself.
I self-sabotage myself, but so all these things were happening in my life, this, and then I was just like, I want to do something different. I wasn't academic at school. I did well at things that were kind of more hands-on or had something else attached to it. I did well at geography because I travelled a bit with my parents, going back to Italy all the time and seeing a few things. And I played a game called Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, yeah, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Which I learned a lot about countries, right? Because I was so into it.
It's a great game.
It was amazing.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And I played that game in commerce or something, whatever the subject was.
Oh, yeah.
Studies, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I used to sit in the corner playing that the whole class.
Yeah.
And then, but it made me get like a B in geography. And for me, a B was massive.
Yeah,
It was insane. Like nothing else.
Thank you to Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's crazy how some things.
Yeah.
That's why I always think like there's different ways to learning, and I really support these schools or different schools doing, because there's different ways to learn the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Some people can read it out of a book and go, yeah, but other people need to do it in a different way.
Yeah. And everyone's brains are different, right? As well. Like we connect the dots in different ways. Who were we talking to recently where that was a big part? Who was it? Peter Kuramita. Yeah, that's right. And he was saying exactly that. Like you've got to teach kids in the way that they're going to get it.
Because I was like that as well. Like I failed every subject at school apart from hospitality and maths. And it wasn't the maths that I got. It was, I started thinking about if you had, instead of thinking about 1,000, I'd go, that's a kilo of flour. And if it was, or 250 grams of meat, I'd think about it as a recipe. And I got an A in maths. It came really easy for me. But every other subject, like English, even now, like if I've got to send an important email, I've got to get my assistant to read it 3 times.
Yeah.
But, I totally believe that you've just got to try and find that format that works for people.
Yeah.
you know, I could read it in a maths textbook and not make any sense of it. But then when I started digesting it in my head, I understood it.
Yeah.
But I really do believe that the whole education system is about to get turned on its head properly because we're walking around with a supercomputer in it now. And then you got ChatGPT and all this sort of stuff coming out. I think the schooling system, we're going to be really fortunate in our lifetime, I reckon, to see such amazing changes in education.
I hope so. I think a lot of people would hope for that as well. So
hopefully they'll start teaching how to do a tax return instead of
we talked about that.
Algebra or angles because what the fuck?
Pythagoras' theorem is not overly relevant when you don't know how to pay your rego.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, far out, change a tire or do any of that stuff.
Some practical stuff. So I'm gonna have a stab in the dark here. Your parents may not have been overly supportive about you leaving, or what happened?
No, I was meant to take over. Well, I was meant to take over the supermarket.
Right.
So what happened as well is like after that, so they closed their supermarket, moved the bottle shop. They bought a service station, gutted the service station, put the bottle shop in the servo, made a drive-through bottle shop.
Yep.
And then my mum bought another service station that was across the road, and actually ran that, and she cooked Italian food in like like fast Italian food, and served petrol, and she did that for a while and then sold it off, got it going, got the. Now
they're the mayor and mayoress of Campbell.
So are they actually? No,
they live in Sydney.
Really? Well, that's even better.
Yeah.
But I mean, are they just there's that people are just sort of serial entrepreneurs, just want to keep going, and what's next? Is that
didn't even go to school.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they couldn't
afford to go to school.
How old were they when they came out here?
My dad was 26.
Okay.
My mum was 19.
Right.
So she came here when they got married. So my dad went, old days, school days, went back. Dad came out here first. He followed his brother. And then he was here for a little bit. And then I think 2 years. But mum was still too young.
Yep.
So once she turned 18, he went back, married her, and brought her back.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, they come from southern Italy where there's
whereabouts?
There's no money. It's very poor down there. So most people don't go to school. They go to school for maybe a little bit, and then they don't. They just stay home and work.
Yeah.
What part of Italy?
Calabria.
Calabria. Okay. Shit, better be careful what we say.
Yes, mafia. So proper down there, isn't it? Good to see him just.
He's just nodding. He knows not to say anything as well. So, and so tell me about. I'm really keen to sort of hear your experience in Sydney when you first got there. So you've turned up. Did you have anything planned? Did you have a job lined up? I got a job. Okay, so that was lined up first.
I got a job.
What about somewhere to live?
Yeah, I lived with my sister.
Okay.
My other sister.
Handy.
Yeah, so the older one. I moved in with her. I got a job. I went down there for a school formal of a friend who went to St. Vincent's, a boarding school there.
Yep.
And while I was there, found a job in the paper back in the day, back when I was still in the paper.
When papers mattered.
Apprenticeship, pastry chef. Yep. And went there for the interview and got the job.
That was it.
And then just had to go home and break it to my oldies that I was going to move to Sydney.
Oh, so they didn't know any of that?
Nah.
Yeah, wow.
I just went back and said, I'm going to move to Sydney. I've got a job.
15, and you were 15.
And my sister was out. I said, she said I could live with her, and then
that's probably a positive thing.
That was positive. That was positive. That's
now, did she help you? Did she mother you? Like, did she really look after you? Or
drove me to work? Yeah.
Okay.
So I started work at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So she was driving me to work.
Where was that
every
at?
day.
Where was your first?
Palmer Street, Darlinghurst.
Oh, right.
Oh, right. Oh, gosh.
Right near the goods.
Holy shit. And for those that don't know, for that.
Oh,
man. And we're talking, hang on. Let me just get some numbers on this.
1997.
So, I was going to say, so this is late 90s in Darlinghurst.
It was still proper there.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, Darlinghurst.
There's a few TV shows that have been made about the cross.
Yeah, it was, I'm going to use the word colourful. There's a lot happening, and 1 o'clock in the morning in Darlinghurst in the late 90s.
A lot happening.
Holy smokes!
Oh, it would have been so much fun.
Yeah, you see some crazy shit.
God,
maybe that's why I went in the wrong path there.
Bourbon and beefsteak.
No, I think
bourbon and beefsteak.
How good was that joint?
That was great.
No idea. Never went there.
Yeah, right.
Wow. What I was going to say was, that I was going to ask you a question. How old's Aiden?
15.
How would you be if he came home tomorrow and said that he was moving to Sydney to become a pastry chef?
No.
Honestly, though.
No, not Sydney. I wouldn't. No, he's not moving to Sydney, but He's
okay. So
fucking
we'll put
obsessed
it
with
in
cooking,
reference.
so-
How far away is Coonamble from? Is it Coonamble or
Coonamble.
Coonamble? Anyway,
Coonamble.
From
how
Sydney,
far away is it from Sydney? It's a good solid drive.
6.5 hour, 7-hour drive.
Okay, so where are we talking?
Byron Bar. No,
No,
further.
it's fucking way further.
Yeah.
It's probably Sydney.
Rockhampton.
Rockhampton.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Mate, yeah, no, fuck, no way. He's 15 years old.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay,
That's what I mean. It's like,
so
Jesus
as a
Christ.
reference
No,
point.
but
And at least you
You need
his
someone
dude's
to
a bit
live-
older,
yeah,
right?
You need someone. Yeah,
And how old is he? How much older?
12 years older than me.
12 years
So-
older. So
Yeah. Then I'm thinking, now he's going to live with Connor. There's fucking no chance, especially in the cross.
yeah, I think
He'll
that'd be
have
the kicker
15
for me
kids
as
by
well.
the time he's 20 years old.
Yeah,
But he's, mate, I'm living this now. We chatted about it before. There's no, we're not going to stop him. Like, he's making macarons because I knew I was speaking to him. And he's making macarons at 8 o'clock at night.
is there? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you can tell everyone you made macarons
Yeah.
or you show them.
Oh,
So I don't believe he did make macarons.
never
'cause
seen
I
Skinny
can't.
King, have you? Where do you think
I
they
don't see
are?
any macarons. Nice macaron.
I'm really
segue,
surprised
though.
he didn't text him. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He probably doesn't. Oh, he's that good though. He doesn't need a hand, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of macarons, we'll come back to the beginning, I suppose. But I think most people in this country probably saw you for the first time on a little television show that's still around. Most people probably haven't heard of it. It's called MasterChef, though, and I'm not sure exactly of the numbers, but your first appearance there, correct me if I'm wrong here, it was the macaron cake, or was it like a
croquembouche.
like a croquembouche, but
It was
with
croquembouche.
with macarons?
Oh, no, it was.
Oh, it was a proper
Yeah,
croquembouche.
yeah. First appearance, yeah.
Right. Okay. And then at
Season 2, I did the macaron tower.
the macaron tower, and then the next day. So by this stage, you've opened your own patisserie, right? You've got it's open, it's running. We got a couple at this point in time, right? Maybe 20. What was that? 20.
Yeah, I would have had
10,
two. I
something
think.
like that? Yeah.
I had two. Well, I had a patisserie and I had a chocolate cafe
Okay.
at that stage.
And my understanding is the next day, well, over the next few days, you sold like thousands of macarons.
Oh, back when all that was happening in those first few years of being on MasterChef, yeah, we would sold out by 9, 10 o'clock in the morning every day.
Now, I would encourage everyone in their life to try and make a macaron because
They're a bastard.
they're a shit of a thing to make, right? Because
Especially in Queensland.
I was going to say because it's a humidity thing, right? You've got to have
But you're going
everything's
to
got to be right.
underwhip the air. Like this.
The humidity's too high, it's too low, whatever it may be. There's so many chances that they crack, whatever, they don't set. There's all of these things that can go wrong with them. How did you just how did you master this thing and then be able to produce them in the volume required when you're selling thousands a day?
Oh, by that time, I'd had a good crack at them. You know, like I'd spent many years before I got in the business trying to get them right. You know, I started making them when I was like 19. When I worked in a little French bakery, and then sort of studied for a while trying to get the right mix because I kept it was hit and miss, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it fully because in Australia we didn't really have that education of macarons because they didn't really exist.
Yeah.
They were, I think, might have been one or two sort of French guys that came over and had some real classical.
I was going to say super
patisseries,
bougie kind of patisserie that.
but the macarons that they had have been sitting there for months anyway.
Right.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you want to like in your chocolate cafe and your patisserie? Was that something you wanted to be famous for in the cafe, in the patisserie, or not?
Never want to be famous for anything. I really enjoyed making macarons at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do, but like back then they were really fresh to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it was just a thing where you did them on MasterChef, and suddenly that's what you become.
Before MasterChef, I had this massive passion for them. Right, my boss was French at the time when I was pastry chef, and she bought me back a box from Pierre Hermé in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
And it just blew me away. I was eating these.
Yeah.
Eating
It's like
these
eating
things.
gold nuggets.
Yeah, exactly right. That's $87. Thanks. No, just one.
But it was just life changing. I
Really?
was on a mission to try and make them. I was just on this mission. I'm going to make those. And then I just went on this mission, and I was just, I'd hit them. And then next time, no, I didn't get it right. They'd crack or they'd this and that. And then finally learned a few tips and tricks, started doing a few more courses and stuff abroad, and learned a few little things that sort of got me to where I needed to be.
Yep.
Yeah. And then eventually, opened my own place. And I did, I think, eight or 10 flavors when I opened. But we had everything. We had pastries, cakes, chocolates,
The works.
biscuits. But but macarons is what kind of took the prize, right?
Yeah.
They were colourful. They came in different flavours. You could buy an assorted
And
box.
no one had them. No one else is doing them, really.
No one else.
That's the thing, right?
No one else did them. So there was this, and it sort of just became our number one product.
It was like your signature, wasn't it?
That and when I first started, I had a pretty big wholesale business selling pastries to cafes and bakeries and markets and people, so that sort of got me through the growth period, was just selling to other people who
sold danishes and that kind of stuff,
muffins, danishes,
yeah.
that's what we pretty much baked all night doing that, and then had another few guys doing the cakes and macarons in the day, but it was a pretty wicked time.
Yeah, I bet.
Different.
So let's going back to your first job. What were you doing in that? I mean, we're talking an apprentice in the
back in the old
when you first started.
I call them old days.
Old days. Yeah, we're old now, mate. This is what happens. But that first job.
I was doing cupcakes.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first job, the place did a heap of stuff like pastries, buttercream torts. But they had a massive birthday cake business. Where they trace the picture on top and color it in and do different. All those decorative cakes, that was there. I never really got to that, my time there, because you don't get there till you're like fourth year.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there when I was fourth year. But I pretty much stayed on this side where I was doing, doing all of the sponge bases and all those kind of things.
So
pastries, all the basic stuff. So most of my days I spent racing the other apprentice with cupcakes. We'd just race.
Right.
Who could ice the fastest.
Yeah. How are your hands?
Yeah, good.
They're all right?
Yeah.
I reckon
mate. He's been out of the game.
Yeah.
My hands are good.
Soft.
Yeah, my hands are soft,
Yeah.
So you didn't finish your apprenticeship there. Where did you finish your apprenticeship?
I stayed there for about a year and a half. And then I went to a restaurant for a couple of months, George's. Then probably for the next 6 months, I kind of just bounced around, couldn't find a right position. And then I went to a place called Victoire, which is over in Balmain, where I ended up opening my first store. And they did like French sourdough. And they had a small pastry section, just did some stuff to complement. And it was just a pastry chef and an apprentice. So I got the apprentice job there. And then maybe a couple of months into being there, the pastry chef left, resigned. And so I got asked to cover for a couple of weeks until they found someone new, and they just never found anyone new. I stayed there for 5. I stayed there for 5 years.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Did you want to find someone new or not? Or you were like, no, this is it?
It never crossed my mind. Like at that stage, I was just working hard, and I was probably partying hard as well. And so it was just the way it was. You party hard, work hard. It didn't phase you. That was your life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You weren't
constantly tired.
It was just
it was
just
a
this
cycle.
thing. It was a cycle.
Yeah.
A cycle. So you never really thought about anything else.
Yeah.
Do you know the amount of thinking space you have now compared to back then? You wouldn't even.
No.
You don't even have a beat. It's just do it. It's
Can you imagine if we had the same amount of brain cells then? Without if we hadn't have
I was just
so
thinking
many
about
of them.
what I was doing. But I'd finish work, go and have a shower in a can, we used to call it. Just get dressed, go out, sleep in my car for a couple of hours, and then I'd be on breakfast.
Yeah.
And then I'd do that Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday night I'd go to bed at 6 o'clock at night and wake up at midday the next day. My dad just used to look at me shaking his head going, you're a fucking disgrace.
Yeah.
And I think about that. I think about the amount of money I spent on booze and taxis. And it's like
it's education.
$200 a week in salary.
I spent a lot.
Far out.
Yeah.
But back then, for JD and Coke, it was like $1.50 or something,
Really?
$2.
Yeah.
And if you drank beer, then one, you're a bogan, but two, it was way cheaper.
Yeah.
Before you even start talking about the Sunday night specials and stuff like, crazy. But anyway, that's what makes you the day, what you are now, right?
You said fourth year as well. So, what are your thoughts on apprentices these days that don't have to do the time?
Got all that much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's definitely a lot less that are. What's the word?
Like, are they less skilled? I suppose they have to be,
definitely.
right?
Yeah, not all of them. There's some that are exceptional, right? They're just born with it. They just get it. But then over the maths, they're a lot less skilled.
What's one advice? What's one bit of advice that you would give to a young apprentice that wants to be a pastry chef? And I'll tell you what.
I was going to say, not specifically aimed at anyone in particular that may or may not be related to you.
Turn this podcast off, Aiden, right now.
Yeah.
Now.
I think for me, it would be like, you just make sure you want to do it. I think it's the one thing, especially pastry. People see the beautiful pictures, the colors, the cakes, the Instagram posts these days. Like, I mean, when I started, there wasn't no Instagram, but like I didn't, and that's why I didn't do it because of that. I did it because I enjoyed doing it. But these days I feel like, and from having a business, meeting people, is that people see things that are pretty, and they soon feather out because they like, oh, this is not what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I expected it to
it's hard.
putting flowers on cakes.
Yeah.
And it's not that.
Yeah.
Right? It's one day maybe when you get to a point and you find a position that lets you do that, and maybe that could become true. But the reality is it's repetitive. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of focus.
You just got to be starving for knowledge, right? That's what I keep saying, because the only thing you've got as an apprentice is your ability to learn, because you've got nothing else to offer your boss apart from energy, effort, time. And I always tell young apprentices that you can go and work somewhere shit and you're going to get paid the same amount because it's the award rate's the award rate for an apprentice. But you could go and work. My advice is find if you're passionate about Asian food or you're passionate about pastry, who is the best bakery, the best pastry shop in your area that you can get to, because you can go and work for a shit one and it's going to be really hard, or you can go and work for the best one. It's still going to be really hard. But if you go and work for the best one, he's going to arm you with tools that's so valuable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, organisation and
everything.
The way to set yourself up for
how to put it. You'd have it as well. As soon as they come in and they put their knives on the bench and put an apron on, I can pretty much tell you if they're going to make it.
Oh yeah,
you can just tell.
You can just tell. Yeah,
just
the way they hold themselves, or.
Yeah. Oh, fuck it. Honestly, we did this thing at the Steakhouse for a while where an apprentice would come in, or even a chef, and you'd say, go and chop me an onion, broilwire an onion, and chop a bunch of parsley. Now, most kitchens, the chopping board's going to be one or two places. The onions are going to be one of two places. You should bring your knives, and if they set their board up, put their apron on, get their tea towel, and get a container for your onions, a container for your parsley or chives or whatever you've asked them to chop, I'll know before they even start chopping. Because if they go, where's your chopping boards? It's like, fucking goose.
Where are they going to be? Next to the
dry store in the cold room.
Yeah.
That's it. Onions will be in the cold room in the dry store. That's like it's and
Jeez, hard.
But you can tell, and I'm not saying that we go, oh, you're out.
Yeah.
But you can just tell. I can tell how it's
If
like
they're
now with
gonna
a qualified chef. If they roll in, there's a way they hold themselves and set their board up straight away. You go, oh fuck, this guy can cook straight away.
Is it that like mise en place? Is that like that's exactly what that is, right? It's just it's organisation, being prepared, ready for it.
Yep.
And for me, it's in pastry, it's how well they watch what you do in your movements. Yep. So then they'll know what
when you're teaching them. Yeah.
Okay. If they're working with you, right? Yep. They'll know your next step. If you say we're going to go and do this, they'll know I'm going to grab that, grab this. You know what I mean? They get everything ready for you. It's just like there's people who've got that knack.
Even down to the way you set up when you first start your day. I challenged this roll in here one morning to Harry, and when he set his board up, just move his knife a little bit.
Oh no,
he'll go,
absolutely not.
Who's going to do my shit?
Did you touch my drum kit?
Because he sets up exactly the same way every single day.
Corey got that reference. These guys are too old.
Really repetitive, so then he gets quicker, he gets better, and he's been doing it the same way for so long.
Yeah.
That he's got it down to a pat.
No, I agree. I think it's because especially when I had this small business I put all the tools back in the same place every time. And every time someone would use it and not go back, and you could just tell that they didn't have that detail to go, well, I know that tool's there every time.
Yeah. And that's super interesting because it's such a small thing, but it can ruin your day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Mate,
right?
Honestly.
Like, I know that if I went in there and Harry set up his board and then gone to the bathroom and I came in and just pushed that knife that way, he'd come in and kill someone.
Harry's been here since like early this morning because I was here as well. I guarantee you, and we should actually pick the camera up and go for it. He's in the middle of doing 1 million covers right now, and his chopping board will be in the same spot. His knife will be in the same spot. And I could pull it up on CCTV, screenshot it, and then we go in there and look, and I bet you it's exactly the same way.
But there's something to be said for that. And I think, and
he's meticulous.
That consistency of that meticulousness is a really tough sentence to say, but that is that's the difference between good and great, right? Because
Well,
I can get in there and I'll find an onion after a little bit of time and I'll have a knife and I'll cut some shit up.
Yeah.
But that's not great.
And then you take it to the extreme like you have with macarons. So you make a particular flavored macaron, and then it becomes somebody's favorite, or in your case, a favorite of a million people. They'll eat it once and they will want to go back and have that exact same macaron every single time. And the consistency is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And there is seriously nothing harder to get consistent with than bread and pastry products.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's such a science.
Products.
It's live, right? You're trying to control anything that's got life. It's really challenging.
So you look at yeast, then you got dry yeast, quick activate yeast, fresh yeast.
Yeah.
Then you go
natural starter. Yeah.
Then you go gelatin, titanium, gold, platinum. It's like fucking
What do you mean?
It sets it different.
Oh, they're more solid than the other one. Is that right?
Different. Oh, yeah. Well, they're mainly different weights because they're different
You
thicknesses.
see what I mean? Like it's so fun. And from a
talking
chef who's not specialised in pastry, I'm all about taste, flavour, texture. It's all that plus precise science.
Yeah.
Pastry.
But it's more so with pastry. I can cook, but if you want me to bake anything, I am out the door. I'm just like, I just can't. It's just, you know what I mean? I think there's two people. You're either a cook or you either what is it? You either cook pastry or you don't. There's no in betweens. Like, I cannot cook anything that like a cake. Not
I'm relatively in between. I can cook. I can bake bread.
You're a professional. You're a qualified chef.
Yep.
I'm a muppet that slings booze for a living.
But there's not too many chefs out there that, like, even when we had Colin on here,
Yeah.
he's
Like, no, it's not
pressed
gonna
one of the
near
best chefs in this country, and he goes, I fucking hate baking. He goes, I'm fucking shit at pastry.
Yeah.
You know, but I think when I owned my first restaurant when I was quite young, I had no choice because at the start we couldn't afford a pastry chef, and then we ended up getting a really good one, Rachel, and she was phenomenal. She came up from Jacques Ramon, Kiwi girl. She was magnificent. She's got an epic cafe here on the Sunshine Coast now. But
Give her a shout out.
yeah, Elliot's Bistro,
Very
epic. But she, like, until she came on board and she took over the pastry section, I was it. So I just picked things that I'm like, it's not too, like, souffle, lemon tart, you know, just classic stuff, but just do it really, really well. And I'm still now at this stage, and correct me, I don't know what your thoughts are, very hard to beat a classic done well.
Oh, no.
One of my,
it's at.
we spoke about the Noosa Food and Wine Festival, and I remember years ago, so I can't even remember what year it was. It was early 2000s, and I got an invite up there for one of the big chef dinners on the Friday, Saturday night, and there was Kim Mation, he was Urbane at the time, Ben Shuri, Attica, Frank from Movida. It was like the Brent Savage, Nick Holloway, all cooking with me. And none of those restaurants really had done anything yet. And I look back on it now and I'm like, there's some of the best chefs on earth.
Ledbury won.
Fuck.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, we got 3 Michelin stars in the best restaurant was it the UK or was it the world or whatever?
And these guys,
really good.
These guys are doing amazing things. And Frank Camura, the Movida food is well, it's my favourite restaurant in Melbourne. Like, it's unbelievable. I distinctly remember I did a drunken date and mascarpone tart. So it was just drunken dates. I cooked in Armagnac, pureed them, put them on the bottom of the tart, then did
How did you get pastry?
Hey?
How did you get the pastry course?
Shane Bailey, thanks Shane.
Yeah.
Fucking, and I was like, oh my God. And we did it, and it was a very simple, and we did confit oranges. So we did confit orange, drunken date and mascarpone tart. So simple, and people were like, is that all you're going to do? Is that it? And then watching everybody in the room, all the foodies eating it, and they're like, fuck, how good's that?
Yeah.
And it's like, you do those classics and you're doing well.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I remember eating a lemon meringue pie of his when you had your cafe up there, and oh my God, it was one of the, I can shut my eyes now and still taste it. When you've got that beautiful meringue, perfectly toasted, the lemon curd is just to the bite, and then it just dissolves. Oh, fuck. Those classics done well at everything, I reckon.
I think it's where it's at. You see a lot of the good businesses around that especially in pastry. They really stick to that. And they add a little bit of edge to it, but they don't go too far from it. And
I think that's the same. There's so many restaurants. Like, it's always that, you know, the classics are classic for a reason, but they're generally, there's nowhere to hide. Like, steak frite. It's literally steak and chips.
Margarita pizza.
Exactly. It's like there's only 4 ingredients there. They better be fucking great.
Nowhere to
ingredients.
hide.
There is literally nowhere to hide. And that got drummed into me super early. It's like, just get the best ingredients you possibly can and do as little as possible to fuck it up.
Yeah.
It's like that's the job.
Talk about the V8 cake, because that's literally the polar opposite.
Yeah, that is.
Like,
that's definitely on my list.
There's something that when I first seen that, and I didn't even know you back then, but it's like you need to be in a padded cell.
I thought 100%. I remember watching that episode.
Fuck, it was.
And I'm like, that guy's nuts. Like, that's not normal. And I've been working hospitality my entire life. And I remember at this point in time, and it was, I think those first few seasons of MasterChef as well, they captured everyone. Like, even if, like now, I think a lot of people, particularly in the industry, you say, oh, you watch MasterChef? They'll be like, no, I don't. But back then, everyone watched that show. And I remember watching that and just going, nah, that's just dumb. That's why
you put another ingredient in it, or another layer of texture. I'm like, oh, fuck. Of course you're putting that in there.
Do you remember I'm sure you do, the layers?
Yeah.
Can you list them out?
Yeah, so it's a vanilla almond dacquoise on the bottom, and then a vanilla almond crunch, vanilla ganache, then it's a vanilla chiffon cake soaked in vanilla syrup, then a toasted vanilla creme brulee, and then a vanilla macaron, and then vanilla water jelly.
Yep.
And then that's injected into a vanilla chantilly cream.
Yep.
And then glazed with vanilla glaze.
So if I'm allergic to vanilla, what do I have?
You're stuffed.
How many of them you reckon you made?
Oh, man,
like
a lot.
Thousands.
Yeah. I mean, especially back then. I mean,
so straight after that, it just went fucking.
Like, I remember after that, like some Saturday mornings, you'd have 40 to 60 of those.
On order.
Like 8-inch cake, like not little ones, like big cakes, like just on the roll,
You roll in,
that's a lot. That's a lot to prep, eh?
Well, that's the bit where I was like,
plus all the individual ones for the shop. That's just on order. And then so it was pretty crazy days.
But was that
back in those days?
Those things. I mean, look, if you look at that now and go, okay, there's 700 movements in that cake. Would I do it again? What would be your answer?
I would. I would. I mean, that cake stands for itself, and then in a proper production facility, like it's pretty fast.
You can get away with it. Yeah.
It's when you're not equipped or you don't have
you're not
going to get the efficiency.
Or
but if you can,
or you're in a MasterChef kitchen.
If you're set up for, if you're in a MasterChef kitchen, or at home.
Fuck yeah, I gotcha.
Like, was that kind of the plan? Like, that was never going to work, right?
I was going to work, but it's
did you go?
You're going to push people.
Yeah,
I would have stitched these bastards up.
But
that's what it was about.
I was going to say
that's what I went in there for.
Yeah.
I went in there to obviously make it achievable, but like give them a good run, like make them really sweat it out, and most of the time they did.
But the look on some of that, I mean, it was like pure fear.
Yeah, me too.
Particularly, like for those that don't like pastry, for example, would be like, I'm out, just send me home now. It's like, thanks guys, it's been great. I'm out the door.
Did you see that Peter Gilmore is doing the snow egg in Key now? But for a short period of time, he's bringing back the snow egg, and you got to pre-order it and prepay for it.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, and that thing blew up like sort of stuff.
That's
like,
awesome.
That
thing.
Oh my god,
awesome.
I've eaten it.
Yeah.
Like the pork jowl thing that he did that time. Did you see that?
No.
As a lover of pork
aficionado,
mate, it was fucking crazy.
Was it?
Oh, I can't even remember what he used. It was it's only like a sugar that he glazed the jowl with, so it resembled crackling.
Really?
And I can't even remember. He did it up at Qualia for a dinner one. It was fucking one of the greatest things I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah, it's not an easy dish to sell to people, the pork jowl.
No. And then he went on MasterChef and did it. And then fucking you couldn't buy pork jowl in Australia for like 2 years because it all went to Key restaurant. Yeah.
It's crazy.
But I think that's one of the cool things about MasterChef, particularly back then. It really did elevate the industry to, in a way. It sort of let people in, there's that voyeuristic thing of people wanting to see what's going on. And this is from amateurs as well. That's the other thing. So it's like, I think it was, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of the recent stuff, but do you still get on there? Or
yeah, you've on this year.
I had a bit of a break from it. Like I had definitely a big gap in the middle, but the last couple of years I've been on it, and it's nice to look. It's a different atmosphere. Like I mean, back in the day, like when I took something like that, there would be a lot because people weren't as. But now over the years, the level of people's
of the actual contestants, you mean? Yeah,
of what they know, what they've learned, what they can have access to, right? I mean, back then they didn't have access to go and watch someone make it in front of them and go, okay, I'm going to do this. I can do this in 2 hours, and so so it's interesting to see the different level, the different understanding of techniques and food and different things. Look, it's still a big challenge for them all in there. But it's you can see that they've got a little bit more advanced skill that matches, I think, where the level of food is in the industry these days. See, I don't take anything away from the people from the early days. That's where food was, right? They were on that level.
It's a very different time.
It's just where it's gone. It's developed and changed over the years. So it's interesting. I mean, it's been 16 years, I think, since I first 2008. Yeah, about 16 years since I first went into that kitchen, and it's pretty interesting. But that the base of it is still the same.
It's still the same. You
walk in there and it's that's still the same feel. It's just contestants and the stuff they do is just different.
Yeah. So getting back to you said MasterChef blows up, right? How was that for you, just personally, where you went from making some pastries and having a couple of shops and to literally overnight everyone knows who you are?
Oh, it was just a hustle, man. It was just like from working by myself with one person, and then like my sister would come and help when after her other job washing and different things like that, to then having a team of like 8, like literally in a couple of months. It was a big change. It was like a washing machine. And you just had to ride it. You just go with it, just keep hustling every day, just go, sleep in the car, things, like it was just working. And then I was in my mid to late 20s. So, I just kept pushing. I didn't care. I'd kind of blocked everything out of my life. And then when you had a spare moment, you'd be out somewhere getting blasted because you just needed to release. You know what I mean? You need to get all that out of your system and then back to it. And just back into it. So it's
because I remember one of the first times we'd met, we were in Sydney with mutual friends, and you took me to your factory, and it was massive. Like, it was fucking enormous, this joint. I was telling these guys before you got here, like, it was huge, and it was so close to the city, and the gear that you had in there, like, it was, you must have been producing some stuff out of that place.
Oh yeah. Well, at that time when we had that, supplying probably about 10 stores.
And you were like, that was right in the belly of the beast that stage, right?
Yeah, that was right. And we moved there 2014 to that kitchen, and centralised everything. And then as we grew Melbourne as well, we were sending 30 to 40% of the product probably from Sydney to Melbourne. What we could, like macarons and all those kinds of
on plane or driving it down.
Oh, just frozen. Transport. Just drive on the
truck.
Truck. And then they'd get a pallet a week or whatever it was. Put it in their freezer. And they'd use that throughout. And then they'd make all the cakes and that were made in Melbourne, and all the pastries. Most of the pastries were made in Melbourne. And we did we lined all the quiches and pies and sausage rolls. We did all that in Sydney. Sent it down frozen. They just bake it off. Things like that. But all the croissants and all that were made in Melbourne because it was something we could have made in Sydney, but we just didn't get to that stage. So we're still making it there. But so it was a bit of a beast, a bit of a machine. And we're doing probably 50,000 macarons a week.
Wow.
So
that's a lot, eh?
Jesus.
And I remember when you came, like we had a donut business in Brizzy, and you're coming up for something to do in South Bank there, and you need a place to put some stuff together. And I remember one of the earliest things, because a lot of people, in the height of your fame, would ask me what you like, and the thing that I used to always say was, and I don't know, you probably just completely forgot about this, but you were so generous with your time. Like we had a significant donut business, but we still had some problems with a few things. And you went around with our pastry chef, and you were so generous giving pointers, and like he walked away going, like he couldn't believe that you were so generous with your time and your knowledge, that you came in and helped them. And I look at that and I go, that's not normal. That's just not normal. And the other thing that's not normal is a lot of people who don't know you personally like I do, you're quite a shy guy, but for you to be on TV as much as you have, it's really unusual that you don't portray that really shy guy. It's like nearly like an alter ego, because hard to get a word out of you on the street, and then you get in front of the TV.
Maybe
you've got an audience of millions, and you're a TV host, and it seems to roll off your tongue. Like it's cool, but I look at that the way you were with some of our junior staff and our head baker, who was just in awe of what you've done, and all your guys were the same as well. Your head pastry chefs that come up. And it's when people would ask me, how's Adriano Zumbo, I tell that story, they're like, fuck, that's really unusual, hey? Because right in that peak of your fame, you had no right to be doing that. You should have been this dickhead celebrity chef, but you were actually the opposite of that, which is cool.
Yeah, I think it's important to stay like just who you are.
Humble, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I never wanted to be famous or on TV.
Yep.
It wasn't one of my goals. So
Yep.
I got into cooking because I love cooking.
Yeah.
And I still do.
Yeah.
That's my main thing. I don't chase being on TV or anything like.
Yep.
If it comes up, it's a bonus for me.
Yep.
If someone says to me they got an idea or something to you, oh man, I'll do it. Like
Yep.
it's cool. I love doing creating and doing new projects and whatnot. But I don't sit at home. Like, I mean, if no one ever called me again about anything, and I'll sit at home and bother me.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like you stay true to who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, and that's really important in life, for yourself and for other people.
Yeah.
And that's just how I've been all my life. You know what I mean? It's if I can help someone, I'll help them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's what we're all here for, especially in this industry.
Totally.
It's not easy at the best of times, and when it's good, you got to share it.
Yeah.
And so it's super important, I think, for anyone as a chef or anything to try and, especially, I mean, I guess in those days too, you had a lot of young people who looked up as well and whatnot. So I think it's important that you give them the right information, or if you can help them, help them.
Yep.
I've always been like that, because I think we need more great people in the industry, but also those people, you're making some sort of difference in their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether you talk to them or whether, sometimes it's just talk to someone.
Yeah.
And you made their freaking day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important.
Or you
for
can
anyone.
motivate them to go on and have a career bigger than all of ours. I think
What's interesting is the fact that people helping other people is not normal.
it's not.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the bit that's kind of scary about that conversation. It's like, why don't we just help each other more? I think we're seeing that sort of shift a little bit, but it's also, there's a lot of that. It's all about me mentality still. And I think the social media world, like you said, there's this falseness of what people can and can't do. And, this lifestyle that people portray themselves to be living, when we all know that's just complete bullshit.
Yeah.
I used to, when I used to travel a lot for work, people are like, oh, you're always on a plane. It's like, yeah, but it's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing enjoyable about that. It's like, you go and do a dinner somewhere, and it's like, oh, how fun would that be? Get to fly to Melbourne or Dubai and do a dinner. It's like, yeah, but I got to fly there. I don't know anyone. I'm not with my mates. I'm not with my family. All of those things. It's like, I'm not saying it's shit. Don't get me wrong, but it's not all beer and Skittles. Like, I'm not just saying that to go. Like, it's hard. Some of that stuff is hard work.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're cooking in places where you're not used to, you don't know where the temperature's going to be right. That you're expected to produce something, or your name's going on a dish that's going out for a dinner for 500 people. You can't possibly do that all yourself. So you've got to hand over some control to other people. And that's the bit that's like, that's terrifying.
I think it's the hardest thing in this industry. Like, going away to another country.
Yeah. Do you send a recipe and say, just do this V8 cake?
Yeah.
The exec chef sends you an email back. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's like, just make me 8,000 profiteroles and I'll deal with the rest. But
you're rocking, ingredients are missing, equipment that they told you that they have ain't there.
Yeah.
Like,
has it been one of those where it was like, holy
Clearly,
shit. Like, there's some trauma. Yeah.
Pretty much every time. There's no
Name drop.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but it's like, it's so true though, right? There's always something. I mean,
something, because we're super lucky here. Most of the time you do something in this country, I'll be able to get it.
Yeah.
I'll know enough people to go, what, can I borrow your Thermomix? Can I come and borrow your...
Absolutely,
your whatever. And I'll come and grab it. But when you're in another country, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And in some countries, people don't have Thermomixes.
Yeah.
People don't have, you know what I mean?
The things that you're used to, like the basic sort of stuff.
Blast freezer. Oh, yeah. And then it's like, it's probably the blast freezer from the 90s that only goes to -10.
And takes 27 minutes to get there as opposed to 3 or,
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a different world. Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work
It's
properly.
not the actual one.
Yeah, it's not, so there's all these different things to come into play.
Yeah.
Quality of ingredients.
Yeah.
It's just so much, right? And you just start, like you said, pumping out a big function. You're over there to cook for a bunch of people. You're on a pedestal. They're flogging your name off.
Yeah.
And, and you're just trying to keep it together.
You're in the background with the clown music playing in your head.
Literally, you work double the amount of hours because you want to make this work, right? It's just like, if I've got to make this work. And
Sorry, the background just chucked.
Yeah,
I nearly had an epileptic seizure.
Corey's going to have to do some pretty smart editing to get rid of that. But I think it'll be focusing on someone else at that point in time. Probably my face or your face.
Just thank God it wasn't Pornhub, Corey.
God. So around all that time, so you're riding this wave. You opened, like you said, there was 10 at one point in time. Was that the most? That's a lot. Right, that's a lot. I mean, 10 of anything is a lot. 1 of anything at the moment is a lot, but 2, 3, 4, the challenges become exponential. You don't just have one person calling in sick. You've got 10 people calling in sick, and it's like that's not an easy problem.
People's
to fix.
the biggest challenge, isn't it?
Oh, people.
Just managing people's incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. In the end, I had quite a good team. In the kitchen. I mean, it's probably more the front of house, but even then. Definitely had some really good managers in each store. We were quite lucky in that way. In the end, we had a business that was kind of quite standalone in such as what it did in the industry at that time.
Yeah,
I mean now there's probably a few more, but like at that time, there wasn't a lot. So a lot of people were, especially overseas people, we pulled in a lot of talent from overseas when they came to Australia.
Right.
Like they dropped your resume straight to you.
Perfect.
Because they wanted to come and work for you.
Yeah.
That plus when they looked, there was what else is there?
Where else they going?
Where they're going to go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they wanted to
Brumbies.
do patisserie.
Yeah.
But it's very few, and
Brumbies
some of them were so small. Some of the ones that actually did good product were so tiny.
Yeah.
They didn't really
have no room for anyone.
Have no room for anyone. It was probably just
the owner and one
other person.
Yeah.
So a lot of people came to us, and we did build a good team because of that. Yeah. And it was.
How many people were working for you in the peak?
In the peak, I think it was about 200, and I remember this day talking about we had 200 and something staff on the books. There's 200 plus.
Fuck, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
That's just it's a lot of people, and again comes with its own set of challenges that are things that no one can tell you are going to happen either. Like there's no manual. There's certainly no manual for, I think, restaurants in general, hospitality businesses in general, but particularly when it's like there's 200 people that you're now kind of responsible for is not the right way to say it, but we've talked about that before, where you feel like you've got their future in your sort of hands a little bit, and that can be a lot for people to process as well.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, that business didn't work out in the long term.
Yep.
Any major regrets from that? Anything that no
regrets, man.
Yeah.
You do what you do. You put in 100%. You go. I think on the first run you just go gung ho at it. You're riding that, like I said, riding the wave. It's something new to you as a chef.
Yep.
People throw money at you. People want you to do this. People want you to do that. You're wanting to make all these different, new products all the time. You're just amongst it.
Yeah.
No regrets. I mean, I probably, if I was to make any changes, I think it's just putting the foundation in place from the start.
Yeah. The business foundations.
From the get go before I did anything else. And
that's easy to say now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Your growth was not normal.
I would never have done
like it's the arse end of normal, because your growth was exponential, and you're never going to say no when it's coming in at you. You've got to scramble to get it done.
You either stay there, and never move, or you go with it and you try and grow. And look, we did grow. Biggest problem I probably did was just taking too many loans with a bank, like to grow. I mean, it's all to grow stores and to build that kitchen, right? That kitchen cost a mint.
Oh.
We bought the building, then we decked it out. You know what I mean? And that was where it started a bit rocky, I think.
Well, with that comes the pressure, right? And it's
a lot of pressure.
Suddenly you're not just worrying about your macarons and your V8 cake. You're worrying about the bank loans or the mortgage or the lease or the
98 grand a month.
Yeah.
That's bank. That's paying the bank back.
And you know what?
That's profit you have to give the bank, right?
Yeah. You know the thing that shits me, but is when people make comment who've never had a crack themselves. Now, you would need 3 shows for me to list the fails that I've had.
Yeah.
But when somebody and it gets says frequently to me, "Oh, you got the Midas touch." It's such fucking bullshit, and it's offensive to me because I have made so many mistakes in this industry. I've made mistakes. You pick an area of business, and I've made an error in it, but it's still the path that I was supposed to take to educate me to be the person, the chef, the business guy that I am now. And I look at it and I go, when people comment off the cuff, they don't really realize what it takes to, like, I know my path was like a snail's pace compared to yours. And I don't think until you experience what you've experienced, you can even comment on that, because it's not fucking like tell me one other person that's had that, like in any field. Like that's
a really good question. At that rate,
mate. When I remember right in the middle of it, you go into, what was your number one store? I've asked you about this, Queen.
Oh, QVB.
Yeah.
Oh, in the end, it was. I mean, it's changed over the years, but yeah.
Fuck, you go there at 10 o'clock in the morning, you'd be 20 deep to get bread, macarons, or a quiche.
He's got $100,000 a month loan. He needs,
Make more bread.
Yeah.
Definitely puts a pinch on it. I think if you took that pinch away, I mean, you wouldn't change for what you did.
Yeah.
It was what you did.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pushing to grow, right? And it's like that. It's like they always say, there's that rocking part when you're trying to grow from, 10 to 30, 20, 30 stores, right? You need a lot of someone just burning
pushing
money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? In a sense, I mean, that's probably. I had no investors or nothing, so it was just literally.
That was all you.
Yeah, so like I didn't. Yeah, if I had someone throwing that burn money in, maybe you might have got through the other end. But because we had some good stores.
You did.
Even when we crashed, we had good stores.
Yeah,
it wasn't because
and that's the frustrating thing, right? Though, because there's cash flow coming in.
It was like one store that tore it apart, and then from that, it started to fragment. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about it.
No. And so was that kind of part of the prompt to come up here as well? Was to sort of...
I just, at the end of it, I was just like, you know what? I've had my crack in Sydney.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I had a good crack. I don't think I would stay here and do it again right now. So it made sense. You know, my wife's from up here.
Yep.
And from coming up here for many, many years for Noosa Food and Wine, I said, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go up there and, what have you got to lose, really? Had nothing in Sydney anymore. So
it's not a bad part of the world to live. That's the other thing, right?
It's a great part of the world to live. But I think the only thing I've found is for what I do, it's not a lot of work up here for what I do. You have to, if you don't create it yourself, then that's a hard one as well. But I mean, I mainly travel now for work, but eventually I'm not, I've got to figure something out. So.
Yeah, because you want to be close to family.
If I want to keep living here, you know what I mean. So,
and is that the plan?
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to keep.
Well, that wasn't a fucking solid answer. I'm not going to lie. You were like,
but life's life. You
don't know what's coming. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I'd love to keep living here.
Yeah.
It's but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You're dad now, mate. So everything changes when that happens.
Of course, yeah.
Has Nelly got another one?
No,
is she happy with one?
Yeah, she's happy with one. Yeah, but I think she wants another one.
Or she wants multiple?
No.
Italian family?
Not multiple.
10?
No way. No.
How old is he now?
10 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a doting mumba. She loves it. Motherhood really suits her.
Yeah. She loves it. She loves it. She really gets into it, and
that's good.
It's her life.
It's handy.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice with it.
How are you? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's
hard yakka.
It's hard yakka.
It's hard work. Yeah.
Pulling you between trying to work, and a lot of the jobs I get these now is like it's all very different.
Yeah.
So every job you go into, it's different. So different recipes coming up with. So it's a lot of work, in sort of planning it out,
like development kind of stuff,
and then trying to be a part of the family as well, like putting your percent of effort in as well to help, on the days. So, and then when you do go away for work, you might be away for a week or two. So then you're by yourself. So when you come home, you kind of got to catch up a bit,
get the dad back on.
And, so it's been for me, like in that sense, I mean, it's not a lot to whinge about. It's not that hard, but I mean, it's just it's more brain management, time management. I think with how I've always been in my life, I've always been that I just shut off and I'm in my head, and I work out what I'm going to do or whatever the function or the thing is or whatever the vision is, the creative concept. But now it's sort of like that with lots of noise tapping away at your hand all day. So it's
a little drum kit in the corner.
I think it's a new skill you got to learn. You know, it's. I mean, I think it only makes you better.
Yeah,
in the sense that you can kind of keep do that with a bit more noise around. But so
no, there's something about fatherhood, but it changes everything for the better. I reckon it's really good. And you know, your wife's fantastic, and I knew that she was going to be a great mum, and I'm sure that your family's going to prosper on the Sunshine Coast. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, certainly from a personal point of view, we'd love to see you stay up here.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, I've got two questions that I wanted to ask you. One is, you've got some of the most ridiculous nicknames I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of these. I'm going to give you them, and I want you to tell me your favourite one. I think the one that probably people are familiar with is, and I think this is a MasterChef thing, is the Sweet Assassin.
No, my favourite one is not that.
Okay,
that is my favourite in the sense of like, but there's one that's really
okay. I'll see if I've got it. Okay, the other one that I like all of them, to be honest, but the Patisserie of Pain.
Yeah.
The Dark Lord of the Pastry Kitchen.
Yeah, that's right.
Clearly, those guys were on the receiving end of a fucking
exactly right. And this is the one that I think I was like, holy shit, Lord Voldecake.
I get that when I go to parties and stuff.
Do you?
Yeah. Hey, Lord Voldecake.
I was like,
it's usually half someone with an accent or something as well.
Right.
And it's just so funny.
That's great. I love that, Lord Voldecake.
Especially after you had a few drinks, you have a few drinks in and someone yells out, Lord Voldecake.
You need to pull up. Just pull a little like a what do you need? Like some kind of pastry equipment out of your your apron and stuff.
That was going to be one of my questions.
I also we're gonna there's a new segment that we're gonna start, and today's the first of it. I haven't discussed this with anyone.
Hang on a second, I'm a
this
decision maker here.
Yeah, this might get cut out, but the reason I'm doing it is because I actually planned to do this a while ago, but then I forgot to ask, and I just continually forgot. So I apologise, and I've got to apologise to someone in particular because I asked her. I said, "Look, this is who's coming on. Have you got a question?" So this is Jen, my partner. And her question for you is, what are your thoughts on people quitting sugar?
Oh, look,
find another hobby.
It's stupid, yeah. It's stupid. I think it's stupid that they blame it. That everyone needs something to blame something on, right? I agree. Excessive sugar, yes,
sure,
no problem. But why do you have to eat excessive sugar? Why can't you manage and balance your life out to eat in moderation? Because there's nothing that brings you the same happiness in a dessert or an indulgence or a sweet as sugar. None of this other shit that they create.
There's a soundbite there.
You know what I mean? There's just there's nothing else they create.
Yeah.
Hey, I've eaten it all. Stevia, monk fruit.
Yeah.
There's some okay stuff.
Yeah.
There's literally, but if you eat that every day, there's no satisfaction.
Yeah.
There's no satisfaction. It's missing something.
Yeah.
And if you want to put yourself through that, I reckon you're worse for it because you lose that happiness. Do you know what I mean? I think you just think about it.
There's your argument with Jen.
You're cutting yourself at the gym.
Yeah.
Day after day, right? So you're already.
You hate yourself.
Don't go too far. 3 days a week.
Do you know what I mean? Whatever, and you're probably like eating like broccolini and chicken or whatever it is that you're on, and then to go and eat like stevia and monk fruit and like things that just like they're missing soul.
What's that? When you say monk fruit, what the hell is that?
Yeah, you can get that at the Coles.
What is it? Is it sweet?
It's like erythritol and monk fruit mix and all those kind of things.
Oof.
Yeah, monk fruit's natural.
Okay.
Stevia's fucking horrendous.
Oh,
it's like
man.
7 times sweeter than sugar.
It's just disgusting.
It tastes like chemical to me. It literally tastes like chemical.
What's the other one? I think you just said it. The
erythritol.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, have you ever had the aspartame?
Oh,
it's 1,000 times sweeter than sugar. You open a lid, and you can just
taste it.
Everything on your senses is just like already. You haven't even put it anywhere. It's so sweet.
Where do we get it?
Why is there cancer in the world?
Do you have any?
Yeah, he sells in bags.
Is it?
But like, I think
it'll be Noosa AFL Club tomorrow from 10 a.m. if anyone wants to.
Selling it at Noosa Food and Wine Festival 15 years ago.
Oh God, Lord Voldemort selling bags of fake sugar out of the back of his car.
I've got another question, and this if you're making macarons and you want to do,
It's not a how to help Tony segment.
and you want to do a what was it?
Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo.
Oh, this is Aiden's question.
Yeah, a Monte Carlo macaron. Do you wait for it to pop and get a skin before you put the coconut on top, or do you put the coconut on and then hope it forms a skin?
Yeah, put the coconut on first. Otherwise, it won't stick properly.
Yeah,
It'll
fucking
fall off.
ask somebody who knows next time, Aiden, not me.
And
So,
anything you put on the outside has to go on straight
it
away.
won't stop it from
Because-
popping, but right.
No.
It'll just pop. It'll go around
so
it.
what happens sometimes, if it's like something with high fat content or something, it may
Mess with the
mess and maybe sort of slightly crack, or inside, sometimes it hollows out
right.
because of the fat seeps through in the
So you
bake.
put more buttercream in it then.
Well,
Just
yeah, you could, yeah. Well,
to solve it, we're going to add more fat.
you could do that.
Spoken like a true chef, right?
Fill up the gaps.
If in doubt, add more fat.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
it's butter.
yeah, definitely anything you put on the outside, straight away, pipe it, put it on, and then tap it after.
Yeah, he was doing that at fucking 8 o'clock at night, having
Smash in the pan. What's interesting is watching you when you're talking about something, and you said it before, you said quiche, you were folding the quiche.
yeah.
Like quite literally, your
Like
hands
it-
like straight away. It's
nothing-
like muscle memory.
There's nothing worse than an Italian pastry chef. He talks like this.
That's-
So my question to you is, you've got 3 utensils to pick, and you're going in to do a service in a pastry kitchen. What are your 3 must-have tools?
Small palette knife,
Crank handle?
crank handle, small crank
Hang
handle.
on, can we explain what that is?
What are we doing? We're doing service, is it?
Yeah, in a restaurant,
So it's basically a little thin
palette
knife.
just with a little kick
And it
in the
comes
handle.
up on a little angle.
Yeah.
Normally wooden handle, stainless
Never leave
steel,
over there.
flat,
You can get it
not
wherever these
not
days.
sharp, rounded edge. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's one.
Yeah. A paring knife.
Ooh.
Yeah, and a cornelling spoon.
Quinelling?
If I'm,
Quinelling
doing, if
spoon.
I'm doing service.
Yeah, right.
if I'm doing service, that's the 3 things I'll
Do you
do anything else.
do you have a particular quenelling spoon, like your favourite quenelling spoon? Or?
spoon? I've got one. I've had it.
I've got a few, but like, yeah, I don't have. I know some guys have got some like real nice ones. I don't have one of those real nice ones.
What's a real nice
Oh,
Quenelle
mate,
spoon?
one that's just
Oh,
perfect.
Oh, just
to do a
Some of them
rochelle.
even have the brands.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know this brand from 2004? And I'm
You're like, no.
I've got a
got
story.
it.
If you want a spoon story, chefs are very strange
I
with
don't know if
spoons.
anyone
aren't
wants
they?
a spoon story to be
No,
honest.
it's a fucking thing.
It's a thing, man. It's a massive thing.
Daniel Jarrett from Spices Tamarind. Sorry, Daniel.
Hello, Daniel.
I'm about to blow
I'm
you
sorry
up.
for what's about to happen.
So Daniel worked with us for a while, and he collects spoons. And if you went near his little jar with his spoons during service, he'd be like, "What are you fucking doing?" Like if you went to get a spoon, he'd be like, and there'd be all different spoons, and everyone had a different story. And I was going to America, and he said, I told him I was going to Alinea, and he goes, "Can you get me a spoon?" I'm like, it's like in the top 5 best restaurants on earth. How the fuck am I going to steal a spoon?
Oh, he wanted you
from
to
Alinea?
steal the spoon.
Yeah,
Damn,
because
come
he
on.
fucking steals spoons. Steal, thieving
Hang on.
fuck, right?
Let's say allegedly, just to cover ourselves,
Oh, he will
he
absolutely
allegedly
admit it, right?
has potentially taken a spoon from somewhere
So
before.
I walk into Alinea and we're fast forward, we're having dessert, and I'm looking at this spoon and I'm like, how? Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
You need a jacket.
Fuck. And I'm like,
How do they not notice that? Someone's going to go, there's no spoon on that.
Mate,
plate. I gave you a spoon.
I got cold feet
Oh, good.
because when we walked in, we got greeted by a girl in the corridor. And anybody's been to Alinea, it's like this very dark, long lit corridor. And as you walk in the front door, the maitre d' comes out and she goes, "G'day, how are you?" She's from Australia. And I was like, "Oh, we've got a connection."
We're done. This is good.
So I'm like, do I pinch it or do I ask? And I got cold feet because I was going to pinch it. And then I said to her, "I've got a very, very strange question. Can I buy that spoon?" And she's like,
Absolutely
I've
not.
never, ever been asked that before. And I said, "I was going to steal it, but I've got cold feet." And she goes, "I love the honesty." And she went and asked fucking
Grant.
Grant if I can buy the spoon. She comes back out and she goes, you can have the spoon. So if you're ever at Spices Tamarind, go up and ask Dan Jarrett to look at his spoon collection and ask for a linear spoon. Yeah. But mate,
I feel much better that you didn't steal it.
Yeah,
I feel way better for some reason.
But I was looking at it, and as I was looking at this spoon, all that was going through my head is that is the best quenelling spoon. Like it was deep and
because you want it to be quite deep, right? That's the issue with a lot of spoons; they're just not deep enough for quenelling.
Die-hard like pastry chefs that work mainly only in restaurants. Mate, they've got like
I've got 3.
Do you remember when this collection came out? This one out of that collection. Like it's amazing to sit there and listen to it.
As an old salty restaurateur, did you ever get the shits with the chefs taking your polished cutlery for the spoons for service?
We had different spoons.
They
can fuck off. They're not getting our spoons.
I'm not
polishing cutlery.
Fucking pissed off.
Absolutely, I'm not polishing cutlery for them to sit in a fucking tub of water.
I used to go out to the cutlery drawer, and she'd want to cut my throat because I'd grab and if you had it blue that day, I'd grab more. I could grab more.
They would always, I think, generally speaking, I'm just trying to think back. Yeah, they definitely just smash that. There were different spoons.
Yeah,
they weren't using
same now, but yeah.
But they're all ours. But they were.
I've got a big quenelle spoon. Then I've got a normal dessert quenelle spoon. I've got a parfait spoon for little quenelles, and I've got a little teaspoon one.
Yeah, I got a few of them.
I don't know how we fucking got. Now we're talking about it.
I can't believe
on fucking
spoons. You seem like you're more into spoons than what he is. When I was like that, you asking the question about equipment.
I doubt that.
So they're the 3. So going back, it was a palette knife.
If I was doing service in a restaurant,
a paring knife. So palette knife, paring knife, and a quenelle spoon. Okay.
What couldn't you live without in your kitchen at home now?
Equipment wise?
Yeah.
Oh, kitchen at home.
Yeah. Blender for the baby food. Strainer.
Thermomix does it all, mate.
Yeah, Thermomix probably, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Thermomix at home.
Never had one. Never owned one.
Definitely like when I'm doing functions, that Thermomix. So
really?
Yeah, it's just, especially when you only you, maybe one person, whatever. Thermomix is another person.
Yeah. What do you put in that?
Gels, custards, creams,
ice cream,
praline,
bread.
You know what I mean?
Risotto.
Yeah, ice cream base.
Yeah, base in there. Yeah. Sorbet.
Oh,
you can't make it.
Are you doing functions for like 6 people?
That's home. No.
Yeah.
Like that's a two kilo.
Liter.
So then if you're doing like say a dessert or even like a high tea, most things only take 10 grams each, right? So 100 people, it's only a kilo.
Yeah, right.
So you could do up to 200 people with 10 grams or 20 grams. Or a lot of time you just mix the base in a big bowl and then you just cook it out twice. Yeah. So,
shout out to Thermomix, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say
tomorrow, mate. You'll be on the payroll by Monday.
I don't know. That's probably that would be that or, it'd be that.
You're like, no, that's definitely it.
I don't cook that much at home anymore. So
that was going to be my next question. Is what what about savoury cooking? Do you cook at home?
Some little bit, but mainly my wife.
Really?
I used to be the one that cooked all the time.
Nellie's quite handy in the kitchen, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a very good cook. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good cook. She cooks really good dinners and stuff. Yeah, she really,
okay.
Really, really tasty shit.
Talk that up. What are you saying?
What else is he going to say? He's not going to fucking have another hot meal in his life.
There goes the roast on Saturday. That's for sure.
So this is such a great cook. Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
You've just got yourselves into trouble there. I want nothing to do with any of that whatsoever.
What are you going to tell your wife about sugar when you get home?
No, she'll
it's
all
get the bullshit.
Right answer. She'll get the right answer. She knows that anyway, so that's why she wanted to ask. She wanted to make sure that you were legit. I was going to ask something about food with regards to you cooking. Savoury stuff at all. Have you ever been interested in learning the savoury side of it?
Oh, I'm always interested in learning. I think especially when you work. When I worked in restaurants, you do larder as well and all those kind of things. You want to learn more. And I always, even if I'm not even working there, maybe you're just working dessert chicken. I always like to learn about what the chef's made or why he's made it or what's he done, because I'm interested in how they achieve flavor. Different techniques, because you never know when you can use it, either for savoury at home or something, but even in like a dessert, some of the textures, sometimes you go, well, why can't I do that with a dessert?
So how could I do that? How
could I incorporate it? So I'm always keen to learn. So I've learned a lot just by asking and doing bits and pieces. And that's sort of helped me whenever I need to cook savoury. It's a very similar, for me, cooking's instinct. Like once you learn how to do something, whether it's pastry or savoury, you sort of can carry 60, 70% of that across to the other side, right?
Yeah.
Immediately.
I can't.
I could just step in.
Oh, really?
You throw me in a section, I may never have cooked it before, but I can figure it out kind of to a 60, 70% thing. And then the rest I might need to like just tweak it out or
practice it.
You know what I mean? But most of it you can go, I can work this out.
Yeah.
I've seen, even just from watching TV shows.
Yeah.
I've been a professional watching a TV show and I may never cook the dish, but I could pretty much work it out.
Yeah, okay.
Sort of from just watching them. And then if I had to redo it, like it's just, you just kind of have that instinct.
Yeah.
You understand those simple processes that kind of carry themselves throughout the kitchen.
Yeah.
And how things work as you get, I think, more experienced in the industry, you kind of understand how things work a lot
nice
more
way to say it.
from the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I add this or if I took that out, that's going to make this happen to this and this and blah blah blah. And that's
What
it
about
does.
what about one of your most enjoyable food memories? Like if you traveled here and you ate that and it was fucking changed your world.
What have I eaten? Don't know.
I thought you go straight away chicken burger at Howland Ray's or something.
Oh my god.
Actually,
Chicken burger. Howland Ray's. Oh my god.
I remember you told me about that joint when I went there. I was like,
What is
my
it?
God. Howland Ray's fried
Howland
chicken
Ray's.
in LA.
Oh.
It is. Look at him.
Jesus Christ, what have you done?
Have you seen it? Oh, it's the business.
And they're lovely people, man. You can sit, have a chat to them.
It's so much chicken, those guys.
Oh, non-stop. And
Really?
the queue goes
And it's like in a strip mall.
it's
Like it's the most unassuming
the
fucking shithole. And it's
back in Chinatown.
gangster.
Yeah, it's
Really?
fucking-
Gangster.
We better get them tagged.
Oh, mate, it is. He said, you got to go there. And I was like, I rolled up. I'm like, I didn't have a bulletproof vest on, but there's like 100 people in this line.
Kevlar's hard to carry on international flights.
Mate, people don't even they can't eat it fast enough. Like they're fucking sitting in their car just smashing fried chicken burgers.
I remember walking up there and just seeing this guy with these two, like, I'm talking
Bags.
I'm not talking little bags.
Like proper,
bags, like this.
like garbage bags, just full of food.
Full of chicken. The Howland Raid bag, but they're like massive. And he's just like walking down the street, like, and I'm like, holy shit. And now
Legit.
I get it.
They are
like if you're going to line up in that
Really?
if you're going to go there,
Get it
you're going to
all.
make the most of
Yeah,
it.
he's eaten that for a few days.
Yeah.
Cold out of his
It's
fridge.
probably not. It's all done
No,
in 1
telling
hour.
you.
It's like, I'm just going to sit here and
that was-
embarrass myself.
Oh, mate, that place was awesome. There
we go.
For I think for like fast, that's for me. Howland Ray's is like best restaurant experience. Oh, man, I'd probably definitely Levitt and Madison Parks up there.
Oh, yeah.
that was one of my favorite. Like I went there, you know, just the room, the food.
It's grand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just you're sitting in this place and the service. It blew my mind.
Vegan now.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was crazy. But yeah,
No comment.
I was glad to go there in the early days.
I ate there 5 days after they won #1 best restaurant in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Well, they were still hungover.
Mate, it was a proper stitch up. But the sommelier opened the wine. I think I showed you when they blowtorched the clamp.
Yeah.
She nicked a finger, like stuck a finger up. They heat a clamp up that goes over the top of a wine bottle, and it breaks the glass
Neck.
Okay.
instead of pulling the cork out. And she sits on a Geridon trolley, and she sits this clamp over the Bunsen burner for about 15 minutes. It's
red hot.
fucking red. And she's talking while she's doing it, and I watched her thumb touch it, and I went, and she went like this. She didn't stop. And I'm like, mate, when she left and she poured the wine, I could picture her at the back.
She was crying.
With her hand in an ice bucket with a massive blister. But then, because we told them we were in the industry, they took us out the back and then invited us to Nomad, the hotel and the bar. And it was honestly one of the greatest
I've been there as well,
experiences.
yeah.
It was so good.
The chicken at Nomad. I had the roast chicken there. It was mad. And then you can go to the bar and party.
And you get it's one of the best cookbooks because you get the cookbook and then you get the cocktail book in the back of the cookbook.
Oh, really?
And then in the front, they've got a blueprint of the hotel and the restaurant.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool. But
Nice.
yeah, absolute game changer. When people say, where do I go for a drink in New York? I say, go to Nomad. It's really cool.
Yeah, nice.
So, big question. What's next?
Don't know, eh? It's a big question.
You okay with that? Not knowing?
Yeah. I think I'm just going through this part of my life now where, I'm doing whatever comes up, bits and bobs.
Yep.
Got the young family, so it's okay for the moment. But yeah, I've got to figure it out by next year. I reckon I've said to myself.
Yeah.
Got till the end of the year, figure it out. And next
you
year,
cameoed a bit in RBs.
Really?
Never sold so many desserts in my life. They're like, is that fucking Adriano Zumbo in that kitchen? Ducking in, ducking behind.
Here's the matcha custard.
Yeah, prepping on a bench about that big at the back.
Yeah, the old ladies used to like sit at that table.
Yeah,
just
just
middle
see
there,
you.
and they'd be like,
Yeah, I fucking knew it was him.
and then like I'd duck, like I'd be like my head would be like, now, and then someone would.
Is it?
Yeah.
Would you do your own thing again? Is that kind of the?
Oh, I haven't ruled it out.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's definitely not in my mind.
Yeah.
But I haven't ruled it out. Like, I mean, I've still got it in me. I got a great brand.
Yeah.
Can you do it so you can get the shit out of my shed? He's got like 3 full kitchens worth of shit in my shed. Sorry, Adriano.
I don't think he means that. It's fine.
The lease agreement's coming through in the post on Monday. It'll be 800 a square metre. It's fine.
That's half the price of everything else. Yeah, okay. I think the thing is that we're all pretty keen to see where you end up next.
Lots of different ideas, but it's just about like what one actually makes sense and what's actually feasible and all those kind of things. I think. Look, I always say to myself, as long as you keep moving, you know, even if it's a millimeter a day, that's fine. Yeah. It's when you stop. So, I'm still moving. Yeah. In the sense of I'm still doing things, bits and pieces. I'm still
active.
That's the word. Yeah. So and you just don't know where that's going to end you up.
Yeah.
Sometimes the pathway will work itself out. Sometimes you got to work it out. You just don't know. So
well, mate, the Sunshine Coast Australia needs Adriano Zumbo to open something else. They need your desserts. The Sunshine Coast is very lucky to have you. Yeah, so, mate, I plead with you to do it. So, have a crack, I reckon.
Funny. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some other conversations that'll happen from this point in time. Might turn the cameras off and those things can continue. But mate, thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your time and your openness to chat. It's been great.
Awesome chat, mate. Inspirational story. Well done. I'm looking forward to the next chapter. It's exciting. Well done.
Yeah, can't wait.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks.